Hello and welcome to Whisks and Legends, where I retell a myth, a legend or a folklore whilst I bake. And today we're retelling our first Brothers Grimm story. Folklore, I should say. Hansel and Gretel. Yay! We will be retelling the true, dark, original 1812 version, after which we'll go over some of the modern changes and the historical influences that created the story. And the recipe, the recipe we're making today is the one, the only Biscoff Cinnamon Rolls. When I think of Hansel and Gretel, immediately my mind goes to hot cross buns, cakes, icings, lollipops and gumdrops. I think a Biscoff cinnamon roll would be a perfect recipe to make today. And unlike all the recipes I've covered so far with this series, basic cinnamon rolls is something that I have done many times. So hopefully we can avoid whatever the hell was happening in my last video. No, why did I put this on so weird? Get off! That's the ugliest scroll I have ever seen. True Halloween horror. Anyway, let's get this dough rising and the storytelling. First of all, we've got to make the dough. We gotta get the yeast bubbling and foaming, and we gotta get the dough rising. We're pulling out the big guns today. So this is milk with honey inside, and I'm just gonna add the yeast and let it be. Let it be. Whilst we get started with the tale. So we begin this tale in the vast lands of medieval Germany, where at the edge of a deep forest there was a hut made from wood. And in this hut was a family living in poverty. A woodcutter, his wife, and their two children, Hansel and Gretel. During this time, there was a terrible and severe famine that had taken over the lands. A hardship that this family was not spared from, as they too were weak and weary from starvation. And there are many phases of hunger. Some become angry, lethargic, weak-willed, and desperate. Others, like the mother in this tale, well, they go a little bit crazy, a little bit cuckoo. The mother was basically driven to insanity. You see, most days they could not even get bread for dinner, and the food that they gathered could barely feed one of them. And with these damn children here too, little smugglers they are, over time she was watching her family slowly perish. And it was too much to bear. And so, during the night, when the woods and their children were silent with slumber, her belly growled and ached like a beast with claws. She turned to her husband and said, not quote, "Husband, you know those children? Kinda extra baggage, right? How about we take them into the middle of the woods and save ourselves? Think about all the extra crusty bread we could eat." And the husband sat up, horrified, immediately objecting. "No, wife, I could not bear to leave my children to be devoured by wild animals. They will die." And the wife did a shifty glance. Exactly. Alas, she was too hungry for such an evil cackle. But what she did have was the persistence of a warrior. She nagged and she berated her husband until the beating became too much. Out of sheer exhaustion and the crushing agony from hunger, the woodcutter reluctantly agrees to her plan. Come look at this yeast. Oh, she is so bubbly. Going to add our yeast to the bowl with the butter. This needs to go to our lovely lady over here for about 5-10 minutes until this mixture turns into a dough that is not sticky. However, I do have to do that over there, out of view, and I will not subject you to the noise it's going to make, so I will be back when the dough has formed. Well, hi! I think the dough is done. I might just put it on a floured surface. What the? Back to Hansel and Gretel. So, oh God, I just wiped dough all over my forehead. What the parents did not know was that though the home was quiet and the children were presumed to be asleep, they in fact were not. They too were kept awake from hunger and had overheard their schemes. Hansel slipped from his bed, tiptoeing across the floorboards. And outside, Hansel notices a whole bunch of white pebbles, so bright and shiny in the moonlight. So he scoops them up and shoves them in his pockets to use them as markers on his path. The next morning, the mother calls the children, Hansel, Gretel, giving them only a small bit of bread before they all set off into the forest. Nana. Oh, can't escape me, bread. As they walk, Hansel keeps to the back, occasionally dropping little white pebbles behind them. And after some time, they were deep in the woods. And both their parents tell Hansel and Gretel to build a fire whilst we go and chop some wood. The children did as they were told, but after many hours without the parents' return, they ended up falling asleep. And by the time they wake, the sky is black, the moon is bright, and the fire had burned out into just glowing red embers. The forest came alive! It's alive! With hooting owls and crickets and fallen twigs crackling under something's feet. After all, they were now in the realm where all kinds of monsters lurk. Terrified, Gretel begins to cry. They're all alone in the big dark woods. What if they really do get eaten by a wild animal? But Hansel reassures her. Ha! Don't worry, little sis. I got a plan. He shows her the trail of pebbles that he had left behind as they began glittering in the moonlight. And together they followed the trail, walking all night. And once dawn broke across the horizon, they saw their wooden home and they ran back inside. Mutter, Vater, we have made our way home. And the parents are like, oh my God, you're both back. Yay! For the father, this did actually seem to be somewhat genuine. However, the mother, she was secretly fuming.
My evil plan has failed.
Damn pesky smugglers. Hansel and Gretel may have won this round, but the next time, they won't be so lucky. I am going to let this wonderful bowl of dough rise. Once I return, hopefully you'll be able to see it from your angle. Trying to break free. Rise, my beauty, rise! Oh, you're looking so beautiful. Wow. Can't wait to punch you in the face. Huh. The children may have won this round, but soon after the famine gets so much worse, and the mother's evil plan to dispose of the children in the woods re-emerges like a rash. Disagreement that the father gave to not abandon the children. Don't do this, wife. The mother then threatens to hog all the food and let him starve if he continues to refuse. And just like before, the woodcutter caves. Also like last time, Hansel and Gretel overhear this plan. However, when Hansel sneaks up in the night to steal some more pebbles again, goes up to the door and he pulls and he shakes it. He rattles it on its hinges, but it does not open, for the mother had locked the door before she went to bed. In the morning, when their mother gives them a small chunk of bread, Hansel shoves it in his pockets, rubbing it together, turning it into crumbs. And when they begin their walk through the forest, he falls back, but this time sprinkling dried crumbs to make his trail. The woodcutter notices his son acting suspicious, so he turns and asks Hansel, "Child, what are you doing?" To which Hansel panics. "I saw a cat, a little white cat, on our roof, over there." The father hums. But he says nothing to speak up about this. And just like last time, they get taken to a deep spot in the wood. They're asked to make a fire, and then they both fall asleep. But this time when they wake up, the siblings scurry over to where they had come from, where the trail would be. But oh no, the birds of the forest had eaten the breadcrumb trail, leaving Hansel and Gretel truly alone. I'm adding some Biscoff spread on top of the butter. The recipe didn't say to do this, so this could end in tragedy, friends. But we're making Biscoff Cinnamon Buns. What do you mean it's only in the cream cheese icing on top? Outrageous, I tell you. Let me have some in my butter too. In Germanic folklore, the forest or the wold is not a place one would want to be, especially alone. It is a dangerous place where humanity ends and supernatural forces thrive, such as nature spirits, dwarfs and gnomes, wolves, witches and giants reside. And for 3 whole days they wandered through, terrified, without food. Until one day they spotted a white bird hopping along a low-slung branch with no clues on what to do or where to go. The children decide to follow the bird like a guiding star in the sky until it led them to a cottage. They stopped instead, mouths gaping, and rubbed their eyes, making sure what they were seeing was true. For what they saw was something so fantastical, so amazing. Do my eyes deceive me, or is this a cottage entirely made of bread? Is the roof made of cake with sweet, sweet icing on top? And are those window panes made from clear sugar? Unable to resist, they ran to the house, teeth first, tongues lolling, and ravenously began eating the cottage, exclaiming to one another with mouthfuls of cake, a conversation that went something like but then the front door opens and out comes an old woman, hunched forward, squinting at them like they were much further away than they were. Well, hello, children. Why don't you come inside? I can give you more food and a comfortable bed to sleep upon. Come, come, follow me. Hansel and Gretel accept this invitation. No more crusty bread for them. And inside they were served with a large, hot meal cooked from a giant oven. And when they went to bed, their bellies were full and round and quickly fell asleep until the morning when everything changed. Let's get rolling, 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 rolling. Ugh. Wow. This is giant! It's like the worms in Dune or something. Let's seal these up like a little parcel. Okay, let's get you. And so, Hansel the next morning is woken up when the old lady grabs him, drags him out of bed, throws him into a small cage, passing him food through the bars like chicken drumsticks. As for Gretel, the old lady demands that she gets to work. Clean this house, scrub my floors, make my dinner, feed your brother, clean my feet, little girl. This is when they realized this was not any ordinary old woman. The house didn't give it away. This woman was actually a witch. Not just any witch. Not in these parts of the town. She was a cannibal witch who built the house of treats to lure in little children for her dinner. So they were stuck in this house, and Gretel was forced to clean and cook and clean and cook. Hansel was forced to eat and eat and eat and eat, trying to make him all nice and plump and juicy. And to test how well Hansel was chubbying up, she made him stick his finger out of the cage every single day. However, the witch had poor eyesight, so she could not tell that Hansel was instead sticking out a chicken drumstick bone instead of his finger. What was going on? The witch pondered. Hansel is still too thin. What in the metabolism is happening here? Eventually, the witch loses her patience. She wants her human dinner, them meaty thighs as drumsticks, and she wants it now. Child, heat the oven, the witch commands Gretel. Today, whether he is fat or thin, I will bake Hansel and eat him. And Gretel, she's terrified. She doesn't want her big brother to become a roast dinner. So she goes to the oven, feigning confusion. I have no idea how to tell if it's hot enough. And the witch, frustrated, she splutters and screeches. You stupid goose. Just look, I'll show you how it's done. The old lady sticks her head into the oven's mouth to demonstrate. See? This is how it's done. And Gretel, seeing this old lady, this old witch inside the hot oven, she acts fast. She charges at this witch, shoulder barging her deep into the fiery oven and slams the iron door shut. The witch screams, kicking against the door as she slowly burns to death. I guess broiled witch is on the menu tonight. Afterwards, she frees Hansel from his cage, and with the witch gone, they decide to have a peruse of the old cottage, like a couple of pesky smugglers. And together, they discover that this witch had some coin. Chests upon chests of gold and precious jewels. They started off this tale stuffing their pockets with pebbles and breadcrumbs, and now they're stuffing it with treasure. And so they begin their journey home. Okay, I think it's time to put them in the oven. They have finished cooking, friends. How about I show you? I cannot stress to you how extraordinarily large these are. What have I created? And I've not even shown you the bigger one yet. Look. I can't touch it because it's still too hot. Look like I'm doing some evil spell. Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. All I know is that these are bloody huge. Whilst we're waiting for our beasts to cool down, that gives us plenty of time to finish this story and make our icing. For days they continue to trek through the forest until they come across a wide stretch of water, one too large for either to cross. Where did this come from? I swear it wasn't here earlier. Until quack quack, they notice a little white duck gliding across the water. Gretel shouts out to the duck and asks it to help them cross to the other side. And physics be damned, the duck agrees, taking them one at a time across the water to the other side. To the other side. Symbolizing their passage out of the witch's realm and back into the safety of the human world. Half the vanilla. That was a nasty sound. Soon enough, they find the path out of the forest. They arrive at their little wooden hut and find only their father, who embraces them with tears, and he tells them that their mother, she's gone, dead. No explanation as to why. Let's assume it's the famine. In fact, maybe she was the witch all along. The children, they show their father all their treasures, emptying the jewels and the gold across their table, and You get off my lawn! The father is now a wealthy man and free from his evil wife. And with his children returned, he is finally happy. They are reunited, the hardships are no more, and they all lived happily ever after. Just like me with these cinnamon rolls. That, my friends, is a wrap of our first Brothers Grimm retelling. Quite an unexpected tale, and I'm working on a Greek myth retelling of an Athenian monster-killing hero, and it's huge, and I'm getting to it. So this was kind of something that I'm slotting in between to keep the ball rolling, friends. It seems that in Hansel and Gretel there is a heavy theme of famine. Turns out the Grimm brothers' most noticeable inspiration for this tale has been widely agreed upon to be the Great Famine of 1315 to 1321 in Northern Europe, caused by incessant rains and cold weather. During this widespread food shortages, families were often faced with the terrible decision whether to let their whole family starve or to abandon some or all of their children, typically in the wilderness, to ensure survival for the remaining family members. Which leads us to the witch, who's influenced by the documented cannibalism that took place in these dark times. In folklore, the witch often serves as a physical embodiment of fears and anxieties in society at that time. By placing the real-life cannibalism onto a magical, fictional creature rather than the parents, allowed the readers, particularly in the 1800s and the 1900s, to process these horrific realities, but from a safe distance. Decorating is not my finest moment, but as long as they taste good, that's all that matters, right? That's all that matters. But because of these said dark themes, there are two versions, or well, two main versions of the story. The original one we retold today, being told in 1812, and the revised versions post 1840. The key differences being the mother. In the later versions, the biological mother was replaced with an evil stepmother. We've all heard the wicked stepmother trope. It's a classic. This was an easier explanation for audiences with the whole abandoning the children plot, as mothers would never do such a thing. It was considered quite taboo, and by replacing it to a stepmother is placing the blame on someone who is outside of the family, an external force, and was already a common trope as an antagonist in fairy tales. In both versions, a mother, stepmother, whichever, still dies, but this is seen as a symbolic death to the evil that plotted against them and abandoned them. The original Hansel and Gretel contained more blunt references to poverty, famine, and desperation that directly informed the parents' decision, reflecting the harsh realities of the time the folklore originated from. The revised tales often emphasize more of a moral courage, cleverness to outsmart the witch, and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. But most of all, the Grimm brothers saw the tales as a vital part of German identity and history. While preserving the folklore, the brothers edited their stories and tales over the years to soften the more gruesome elements and enhance the moral elements, make them more acceptable for a growing middle class market. And now, with all this talk of famine and starvation, I suppose we have no choice but to eat our lovely looking cinnamon roll. I'm actually quite chuffed about these. They turned out really... I know, they turned out great. That's what looks like up close with the shoddy icing job. Oh, it's very soft. Super fluffy. Okay, there's no cute way. There's no cute way to eat these. Oh my god. I mean, I said there's no cute way to eat it, but I don't... I'm eating it quite horrifically. Probably the best cinnamon roll I've ever made. They're so fluffy and soft and they're really good. Oh my god. The recipe will be, of course, down below. Thank you for joining me today on this impromptu Grimm Brothers retelling of Hansel and Gretel. I hope you at least had a fun time until my next video comes out. If you have any requests, please put them down below. I would love to hear what the people want and need. Feel free to subscribe or comment or like or ring the ding-a-ling-a-ling-a bell if you feel like it. I always appreciate it. appreciate you. Thank you for being here. And with that, I'll see you next time. Ciao.